She's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10.
Ever-empowering feminist, Joy herself, everyone. And this is why, of course, she's on The View and not working for the most powerful man in the world, because Karoline would wipe the floor with you bitter banshees.
The presenters are scrambling to fix things after Karoline's total meltdown. Did they anticipate it would get this chaotic? It seems so, considering the growing tension between Karoline and The View. Now, the drama has escalated to a whole new level.
That, and watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years. They likened President Trump to Hitler. They have mocked him. They have shamed him. They have lied about him consistently on their show. And it was a joy to watch them on November the 6th when they realized that tens of millions of Americans do not listen to the lies that they have spewed. These women are completely out of touch with reality, and you're right.
If you haven't been keeping up, brace yourself for some intense drama. At the center of it all is Karoline Leavitt, shaking up the political scene. While The View is no stranger to controversy, they really stirred the pot this time. The moment Karoline was named Trump's press secretary, Democrats wasted no time launching attacks, accusing the show of siding with her and fueling a heated political battle.
Something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Mm-hmm. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about.
The argument against Karoline was clear, but their smear campaign backfired spectacularly. What started as a subtle attempt to tarnish her reputation has turned into a full-blown disaster for The View. Now, the hosts are scrambling to control the fallout, and spoiler alert, it's not going well. Karoline's bold, no-nonsense approach only intensified the situation. The same hosts who often champion women's empowerment in the workplace suddenly fell silent when Karoline took charge. Instead of recognizing her accomplishments, they reduced her to her looks. Viewers quickly noticed the hypocrisy, calling them out for claiming to support women while tearing down a young, successful one. The contradiction was so blatant it practically screamed retaliation. Refusing to stay silent, Karoline exposed the show as outdated, agenda-driven, and trapped in its own hypocrisy. Now, The View is left dealing with the consequences of its own actions.
These women are completely out of touch with reality, and you're right, ABC should...
Let's be honest, Karoline wasn't wrong. But hold on, where does that leave us if Karoline's a 10? Then Greg Gutfeld from Fox News took it a step further, delivering the punchline in his signature ruthless style. To put it mildly, Greg didn't hold back. He had some harsh words for Joy, and his comments certainly didn't do her any favors.
Behar calls her a 10. I mean, how dare she objectify a woman with a rating system, but it's such a typical thing from a 1 point.
Karoline didn't just criticize Joy, she took aim at the entire Democratic propaganda machine. She boldly declared that Democrats have two choices: follow the Trump trend or get left behind. Let's be real, once Trump is gone, what scandals will they have left to stay relevant without their usual media-driven distractions and endless narratives? Their so-called power is nothing more than an illusion. And The View hosts felt that reality check hard, as the studio fell into stunned silence. Anyone watching could see that the hosts weren't angry with Karoline because she was wrong, they were angry because she's younger, smarter, and genuinely deserves the spotlight they've been clinging to for years. The envy practically oozed from the screen. Then there was Whoopi Goldberg, stepping in like a protective mother, trying to smooth things over. Instead of addressing Joy's glaring hypocrisy, she quickly changed the subject and scolded Karoline for what she called a lack of tolerance for frailty.
Something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Mm-hmm. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason.
Here's a rewritten version with a smoother flow and improved readability. It's painfully clear that Whoopi Goldberg either doesn't understand the difference or is deliberately misleading her audience. If she's such a strong advocate for women's rights, why didn't she call out Joy Behar for reducing Karoline's success to her appearance instead of confronting Joy's blatant hypocrisy? Whoopi avoided the issue entirely, choosing a different, far less meaningful approach. She tried to blur the lines between civil rights and wokeness, as if they were the same thing. But Karoline wasn't buying it for a second. In a now viral moment, it became obvious that Whoopi's so-called moral compass was more about advancing her own narrative than holding her co-hosts accountable. When Karoline used her first White House press conference to call out the legacy media for losing touch with ordinary Americans, Whoopi swiftly changed the subject. Instead of addressing the real issue media responsibility, she deflected by playing the race card, shifting the conversation to identity politics. This is all women, Whoopi claimed, bringing up historical injustices instead of acknowledging the media's credibility crisis. She continued in full condescending mode, insisting that Karoline didn't understand what wokeness really meant. According to Whoopi, Karoline only criticizes it because she thinks it's a terrible thing to be. Whoopi then doubled down. It's not a terrible thing to be. That's why we fought. That's what we're fighting for, so that you could stand at that podium, so that Karine Jean-Pierre could stand there, so that women of all colors and backgrounds, wherever they came from, whatever their beliefs, could have the chance to blow that door down. But let's be honest, Karoline knows exactly what wokeness is. That's why she called it out. Whoopi's attempt to mislead the audience and reduce Karoline's argument to empty buzzwords completely backfired. Who is Karoline Leavitt? For those still questioning Karoline Leavitt's qualifications, let's take a look at her background. Born in Atkinson, New Hampshire, Karoline grew up in a Roman Catholic household, where her parents ran a used vehicle dealership and an ice cream business. She earned a scholarship to St. Anselm College, where she played NCAA Division II softball. Even in high school, she was vocal about her conservative beliefs, supporting Trump's policies in her school newspaper and founding the first broadcasting club at her university. After earning a degree in politics and communications in 2019, she quickly built an impressive media and political career. She interned at Fox News, worked at Gannett TV, and spent a summer in the White House Office of Presidential Correspondence. Later, she returned to the Trump White House as an assistant press secretary under Kayleigh McEnany. By 2022, she was a rising star in conservative politics, running for a U.S. House seat in New Hampshire's 1st District. Though she lost the general election to Democrat Chris Pappas, she won the Republican primary, earning endorsements from political heavyweights like Lauren Boebert, Ted Cruz, and Elise Stefanik. Her career continued to skyrocket when she became the national press secretary for Trump's 2024 campaign. In January 2025, Karoline made history as the youngest ever White House press secretary, winning over Trump supporters with her no-nonsense approach. Despite initially planning maternity leave after giving birth to her son in July 2024, she returned to work early following the attempted assassination of Trump. Her Catholic faith, understanding of history, and belief in personal responsibility have shaped her stance on key issues, particularly her strong pro-life views. For those who claim she doesn't deserve the job, the facts speak for themselves. Karoline worked her way from a small-town family business to the White House before she even turned 30. Whether you agree with her views or not, there's no denying she's a political force to be reckoned with. The View's hypocrisy on full display. Meanwhile, The View claims to champion women's rights, yet refuses to celebrate the success of a young, accomplished conservative woman. Instead of recognizing her achievements, they've undermined her every step of the way. This isn't the first time the show has exposed its hypocrisy. The same hosts who preach about female empowerment have no problem tearing down women who don't align with their political beliefs. And what's worse, their lack of self-awareness. If The View truly supported women, they wouldn't discredit Karoline simply because she thinks differently. But rather than engaging in meaningful debate, they're scrambling to control the narrative. Judging by the stunned silence in the studio, they know they made a mistake. This isn't just about politics, it's about hypocrisy in plain sight. Karoline has shown more grace and poise under pressure than the hosts of The View have in years. Her calm, confident demeanor stands in stark contrast to their frantic attempts to deflect from their own contradictions. The irony: the same hosts who accuse Republicans of spreading conspiracy theories have indulged in their own wild claims, like recent ridiculous accusations about Elon Musk and assassination attempts. The View thrives on baseless speculation while pretending to be the voice of reason. Karoline is changing the game. Ultimately, Karoline Leavitt is more than just a conservative woman. She's an intelligent, accomplished leader who has earned her place at the top. Whether you agree with her or not, she deserves to be heard. And it's long past time for The View to acknowledge that. For years, mainstream media outlets, including The View, have controlled the public narrative. But on November 6, millions of Americans made it clear that they're no longer buying into the lies. Karoline serves as a reminder of how the media landscape is shifting. The same outlets that once thrived on attacking Trump, comparing him to Hitler, and ridiculing his supporters are now losing control. They weren't prepared for someone like Karoline, someone who fights back, challenges the mainstream narrative, and refuses to play by their rules. Instead of crumbling under their hostility, she flipped the script. She didn't apologize or back down. She stood firm, confident, and unshaken. And that is what terrifies them the most. Because this isn't just about Karoline Leavitt. It's about a media revolution that The View and other legacy outlets can no longer control. People are waking up. Americans are seeing through the hypocrisy, the double standards, and the desperate attempts to silence opposing voices. The View isn't used to being challenged. For years, they've attacked conservative women, assuming they would just sit there and take it. But Karoline proved them wrong. She's smart, strategic, and most importantly, she fights back. Not with the same divisive tactics the media uses, but with the truth. And that's enough to send The View into a meltdown. Now, the show is scrambling to justify itself. But the cracks are showing. Their audience is starting to wonder, how can a show that claims to support women tear down a young, successful woman just because she doesn't fit their mold? How can they preach empowerment while attacking someone who worked hard and earned her success? The answer is simple: they never truly cared about empowering all women, only those who align with their views. But Karoline has exposed their double standards for all to see. And not just on The View but across the entire mainstream media. This isn't just a viral moment. It's the beginning of a major shift in the media landscape. For years, legacy media dictated the conversation and manipulated the headlines. But those days are coming to an end. The real voices of America, the ones who refuse to be silenced, are getting louder. And the more mainstream media tries to shut them down, the more they prove they're terrified of the truth. So, what do you think? Are we witnessing the downfall of mainstream media, or will they manage to claw their way back? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more hard-hitting breakdowns like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Trust me, this fight is just getting started.